I have bats in my bar, and I'm okay with that. If you love tiki cocktails, you should also love bats. Bats are one of the most misunderstood creatures in the world. But could we even make our favorite cocktails without these little mysterious creatures of the night? As a child, I loved The Count on Sesame Street, Scooby-Doo's baddie scene transitions, and the after-school reruns of The Munsters. To this day, I adore after-dinner walks and counting bats. I get super excited when I see as many as 6 bats. I even wear a tiny little bat necklace a la Lily Munster. But not everyone feels the same. It's estimated that about 30% of the world's population are scared of bats. And I bet some of those same people enjoy a good Mai Tai or even a margarita without giving any thought to the winged warriors who make their cocktails possible. In this episode, I'll explain why we should all raise a glass to the bat, while I show you how to make your own little colony of tiki bar guardians. As a bonus, stick around until the end and I'll make my bat-related cocktail inspired by the Hemingway special and share my low carb on the high seas recipe with you. Hello and welcome to Pretty Spooky Presents Creating Scaradise. I'm Angela, your haunted hostess and creator of Pretty Spooky, a lifestyle brand and the grown-up's guide of how to create Halloween fun year-round. If Halloween is your favorite, yet just one day isn't nearly enough, let Pretty Spooky show you how to take an eerie angle on the everyday and how to add a little bit more macabre to the mundane. This episode of Pretty Spooky Presents is created in my home tiki bar, the Sunken Compass. It's an eerie oasis, my Scaradise. For me, tiki and Halloween share the same fun-loving, spooky characteristics with all of the nostalgia of the past. And as a former mixologist, I understand how the ritual of raising a glass and the shared experience of exotic flavors creates a celebration, making any day of the week, any time of the year more extraordinary. In future episodes, I'll share more about the Sunken Compass and how I design my low carb on the high seas drink menu. I'll also share projects and ways I create daily mystery, excitement, and spooky fun in my ongoing crusade against monotony. But for now, we'll focus on the reason you're here, why we should all raise a glass to bats, and how you can make your own spooky little bar talismans too. I was inspired by some material I came across that reminded me of a bat's wing. And I had some vague ideas of how I might use it, so I paired it with some craft foam for ears, fur for the head, quilt batting for the body. And I ended up using coat hanger wire for the wings, craft wire for the feet, and various beads for the glistening eyes, shiny nose, and pearly little teeth. The supplies have been in my sewing stash for quite a while. And because the warmer weather has brought out more bats lately, it reminded me how much I'd enjoy having my own little colony of bats in my home bar. Speaking of bar, it's about time for some refreshment. I've always been intrigued by bats. Growing up, my parents had a pool, and I have wonderful memories of summer nights lying on a float, as still as a corpse, watching all of the bats swoop just inches away to catch the bugs that were attracted to the pool light. I remember grinning ear to ear, trying to contain my amazement so as not to scare them away. In grade school, I was excited when we got to do a science report and I was allowed to write about bats again. I was walking bat encyclopedia there for a while, telling anyone who would listen about their sharp eyesight and amazing echolocation abilities, and how they're more closely related to humans than they are rodents. Plus, it probably helped that I was a spooky-loving kid who lived for Halloween, when bats seemed to be more accepted and almost welcome addition to the Halloween season. And apparently I have a bat-loving dog who's attracted to fun fur. And even though bats are pretty common in my region, I've always been excited to catch a glimpse of one. I love it when they're flitting in the dim dusk and the last remnants of pink sunlight or the yellow glow of the rising moon are illuminating their furiously flapping little wings, pausing just long enough in midair for me to see their tiny little feet or the shape of a tail. Apparently, this is an injury-prone project. So be careful. In many cultures, bats are seen as symbols of health, family unity, Good luck as well. Farmers also have a place in their hearts for bats who save crops through pollination and by preying on pests that would otherwise ruin them. And as a bartender, I must have lifted that well-known bottle with the bat logo on it a gazillion times each shift. And now I feel completely silly admitting that I never made a connection between bats and rum, or bats and tequila, and tropical fruits used in cocktail recipes, and therefore the overall importance of bats to the tiki culture until now. And that is why I decided to include my low-carb on the high seas version of the Hemingway Daiquiri, called Midnight in Havana. Cocktail historians do believe that the rum used in Hemingway's daiquiris were most likely the one with the bat on the bottle. And it was Bacardi Masso's wife who suggested they use a bat logo shaped like an M for Masso in order to put a positive spin on the bat colony that was living in the rafters of their distillery. In tropical Cuba, where the distillery originated, before relocating due to political unrest, bats were seen as symbols of good fortune. These fruit bats were surely drawn to the alluring smell of molasses and became welcome guests for their ability to protect the sugarcane crops and pests. In just a minute, after a quick sip, I'll find the perfect roost for my lucky little bar bats, but let's experience Midnight in Havana first. I hope to make a few more to add to my colony and increase the good fortune here at the Sunken Compass. I loved how they turn out and I think they're pretty spooky. While we enjoy Midnight in Havana together, I'll find the perfect place to perch my new friends. I have created an entire menu of lower carb drink options based on the classics and original tiki recipes from the past because there's no need for added calories, carbs, or inflammation. So wherever I can, I cut the carbs but keep all the flavor. I call this my low carb on the high seas approach to tiki cocktails. The Sunken Compass guest menu describes Midnight in Havana as an original recipe available only at the Sunken Compass, inspired by the Hemingway Daiquiri, but sparkling, just like the stars at midnight outside of the Floridita at Cuba. Grapefruit rum, Luxardo, cherry liqueur, lemon, lime juices topped with cava and garnished with 2 homemade Luxardo cherries in a coupe. Viva el Papa Doble. The name of this cocktail is inspired by a combination of Hemingway's desire for a stronger, less sweet daiquiri paired with his love for champagne cocktails and El Floridita's later addition of maraschino liqueur. The bartender's menu shows the recipe for a single serving as 3/4 ounce lemon, 3/4 ounce lime, 1/2 ounce Luxardo maraschino liqueur, 1.5 ounce of grapefruit rum, double strained, served up in a larger coupe to allow room for the topper of cava and garnished with 2 homemade Luxardo cherries. The grapefruit rum is made by peeling 2 organic grapefruit with a vegetable peeler and carefully scraping off all the white pith with a paring knife. Removing all of the pith is really important since skipping this step would allow the remaining pith to impart bitterness into the rum. Place the de-pithed peels in a labeled bar bottle and cover them with your favorite white rum. While grapefruit juice is full of carbs, the peels are not. Health reports show that grapefruit peel has essential oils and beneficial antioxidants. While no cocktail is considered healthy, I feel better about using this grapefruit peel infused rum, and it's absolutely delicious in my low carb on the high seas zombie too. Historians believe El Floridita might have been using Bacardi, so I've tried Bacardi in other batches. Feel free to use other Cuban-style rums like Methuselah Platino, which I happen to like very much. And the homemade Luxardo cherries are really easy to make and are a total hit with my guests at the Sunken Compass. So let me know in the comments if you'd like a short video on how I make mine. I'd be happy to share. Use this video as a guide to create your own personalized Scaradise, tailor-made to your own spooky fantasies. Plus, you can craft your own bat colony while enjoying Midnight in Havana. If you tried the recipe or made your own little lucky home bar bats, let me know what you thought and how it went in the comments. I loved being your haunted hostess. You were a wonderful guest, and you're welcome back always. Farewell until next time. Cheers to the bats.